And away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news and share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us today for the live portion. And if you are listening anywhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find it Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University, at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University on YouTube, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, Coffee Talk 2 on Rumble, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to jump off today, I'll say hello to some of the people that have joined us for the live portion. See, ScrewTube is here, or it says Screw YouTube. I'm used to saying ScrewTube. Jimmy Slim. Tuck is here, says like, share, and subscribe on both channels. Please do if you don't mind, people. Bob is here. Helter. John is here. Brian. Dragon. Sven. Jeff. And JJ. Chose to say hello. Glad you could make it today. As we get ready to jump off, we will be talking a little bit about Pam Bondi here in a little bit and the whole Epstein fiasco. And I know that director has been asked to resign, and he has done so, FBI director. David is here. Thanks for joining us today. Where we are going to start, however, is in Canada with a Newsweek article, because now Canada is trying to threaten the U.S., as if that means anything. Evidently, they're going to cut off our electricity. They're going to cut off our electricity, which to that point, and I see James has also joined us, to that point, we ought to be energy independent anyways. So, you know what? It would probably be just as well that we were not getting any power from Canada. Why are we getting power from Canada? That's a Biden thing if I ever saw one. It says Canada is to cut off electricity to the U.S. states because they need to feel the pain. Okay. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said on Monday that he would block the energy exports to the United States with a smile if U.S. President Donald Trump moved ahead with plans for a 25% tariff on Canadian goods, which I believe today is the deadline. Trump announced Monday the tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China would go into effect Tuesday because they were all given a stay of execution, as we know, to try to iron a few things out. And I don't know if they've been ironed out or not. It says, in response to Trump's tariffs, Ottawa and Beijing have announced plans to retaliate, sparking fears of a global trade war. The U.S. imposed tariffs of 25% of Canadian goods, except for energy products, which face a 10% tariff. It also puts a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and an additional 10% on Chinese goods. According to figures from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Canada is by some margin the largest source of American energy imports, with 59% of all crude oil imported into the U.S. in 2019 coming from that country. So energy imports give Canada a powerful level to hit back at the Trump administration in a way that is likely to raise prices and stoke inflation in the U.S. That was 2019. What are they doing now? So it says, speaking at a mining convention on Monday, Ford, a progressive conservative, addressed the Trump administration directly. Quote, I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war, he said, adding, if they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Ford added, they rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain. But again, this is also part of the reason why Trump wants the United States to be energy independent. We used to be. We didn't used to rely on other countries for any of our energy needs. We did it all right here. And this is why we should be doing it all right here and not importing anything energy related to the United States, whether it's gas, oil, electricity, what have you. Nothing should be coming in. In an NBC News interview on Monday, Ford said Canadian energy kept the lights on for 1.5 million homes and manufacturing facilities in New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. 1.5 million is not a lot. Now I see a number that can be redirected from the rest of the grid. And keep in mind how many coal firing plants the Biden administration shut down. They closed a lot of or cut off a lot of coal plants, didn't they? If I remember correctly. Trump said the tariffs were being introduced in response to Mexico and Canada failing to stem the tide of fentanyl and illegal migrants across their respective borders. This is true. He also argued that Mexico and Canada, which had trade surplus with the U.S., had been taking advantage of the country. That's also true, whether people want to admit it or not. Getting a lot of bouncing around today on the articles. It says, according to federal figures, 0.2% of U.S. fentanyl seizures took place at the Canadian border in 2024 fiscal year, compared to 96.6% at the Mexican border. Last year, there was an increase in illegal immigration across the border between the U.S. and Canada. That wasn't just last year, though the level remained far below migration across the southern border. That part is technically true. Fewer people were coming across the northern border than the southern border, but the fact that it happens at all is a problem. Trump has expressed a desire for Canada to become the U.S. 51st state, and he has taken to referring to Trudeau as governor. I don't think he really technically means that. I think that's dry humor. But of course, the media is going to run with it. The media is going to run with it as we catch up a couple of comments. James says, "Oh, no more Canadian, no more Canadian bacon or circular ham." Yeah, Monkey has joined us. Tuck says, in the long run, Canada separating its grid from ours would be beneficial to the U.S. and not just the power companies. Monkey said Canada is shooting themselves in the foot figuratively and literally. Well, they've been shooting themselves in the foot for a while. Peter says Mexico needs to check their trade deficit. It's not going to work out well for them. And then to look at the list of imports from Canada, nothing you can do without or not get locally. And MHC has joined us. Thanks for coming in today. JJ said, given that U.S. imports terawatt hours of energy from Canada, the question is if the U.S.-based generation is available. In the absence of Canadian power, it takes a long time to build a power plant. Yeah, but we have them. I'm pretty sure that coal-firing plants have been put down during the Biden administration, and that it wouldn't take too much to start them back up. It wouldn't take too much to start them back up. But when we're talking in terms that across 3 states, here it is, New York, Michigan, and Minnesota, 1.5 million homes is not a lot. Is not a lot. And it's a big number, but when you consider how many people, how many homes and businesses there are in the United States, it really is not a lot. And I'm not sure, like I said, how many coal plants were reduced or closed altogether. But it would really just be a matter of getting them back up to speed again. Yeah, here it is. It says within the last 10 years, they have locked the doors on 200 coal plants across the United States. 200, which means there's what, 400 in operation currently? 400 of them producing, if I remember correctly, something like 36% of the grid. Yeah, we wouldn't need Canada at all. We wouldn't need one at all. James said Germany and Austria have shut down a lot of their power generating abilities. They're relying on electricity from other countries, and now they're worried about power outages. Yeah, it's a really bad idea. Casey said we need refineries. The EPA and others will not allow us to build them. It's a critical problem. And Dominique doesn't like Ford or Trudeau. He says they're very corrupt. Yes, and sure does look that way, doesn't it? Absolutely. And Tuck said if the U.S. had to build and or refurbish dozens of coal, I guess your comment got cut off. But yeah, I mean they're already there. It may, I mean, you're not just going to turn it on, obviously, but the plants apparently are already there, already in existence. Get them running again, or get the plants that are on the grid back up to capacity since they've been reduced. Many of you remember I did a video some time ago looking at the grid, looking at what was available. And Puck has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Looking at what was available for the grid. I don't know if I have that still on this system. Yes, I do. I do still have the grid maps. I don't know if I can show them because it's on a different system than the sharing of the windows here. So natural gas plants, 1,793, providing 34% of the grill of the grid. This is from the video I did on energy in the United States to demonstrate that wind and solar power are useless. Coal plants, yep, 400 coal plants in the United States that are still in operation, generating 30% of the grid. I said 36. I got it mixed up. It's 34% for the gas and 30% for coal. 61 nuclear plants generating 20%. 1,400 and change on hydroelectric, only generating 7%. It's not very good. Wind, 1,000 plants making 6%, and solar, 1,721 plants generating less than 1%. That's pretty useless. But coal and gas plants, it looks like the coal and the nuclear are the most efficient. Get the coal plants back up to full speed or open some of the ones you already closed. Problem solved. Problem solved. And like I said, it's not as easy as all that necessarily, but there you are. And Carrick has joined us. Thanks for coming in today. And Tuck said solar farms love hail. Yeah. Well, they're not efficient. They're not efficient. Excuse me. While you think the tariffs weren't working, we already talked about Apple, because Apple suddenly wants to stop manufacturing in China and come back to the United States and hire 20,000 more people. Guess what's happening in Indiana? Daily Mail article, car giant brings jobs back to Indiana from Mexico to avoid their tariffs. Honda has decided to produce its next generation Civic Hybrid in Indiana instead of Mexico to avoid potential tariffs on one of its top selling car models. The change underscores how manufacturers are scrambling to adapt to Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada. While several automakers have expressed concerns about levies, Honda's move is the first concrete measure by a major Japanese car company. Japan's second largest automaker had initially planned to manufacture the next generation Civic in Guanajuato. Did I pronounce that right? Mexico, according to people familiar with the matter. Production was slated to start in November 2027. Mexico was chosen because rising costs were making it tough to produce the car in Indiana and Canada. It now plans to build the new Civic model in Indiana for May 2028 with an expected annual production of around 210,000 models. Honda will look to import from nations not hit by tariffs if production in Indiana falls short of demand, one of them said. Okay. All of the people spoke on condition of anonymity, blah, blah, blah. So is that the car? I guess that's the car. I don't know anything about the hybrid. I can go with a hybrid. An electric car, useless. Hybrid cars, not such a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And Raccoon joined us. Says liberals will complain that it's inhumane to put foreigners out of work if we bring back production here. You can't win. No, you can't. No, you can't. And Puck said Times of India is reporting Russians sank a British merchant ship carrying weapons and ammo in the Black Sea. Did they? That'd be interesting if that happened. We'll see. We'll see if that's true. And Thorell is here. Says nice beard. And where are we here? Peter said, yes, the scrubbers work extremely well. However, not enough of the older plants have installed scrubbers. Okay, that's from that side conversation. Sorry about that. Screw YouTube said, need to not buy from these companies who did leave. It was never about our economy. It's about their wallet. The only problem with that is that so many companies left the United States and was importing stuff, and most people don't even realize. And now we have Trump trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and he's the bad guy for this. This is what's interesting about it. And by contrast, we'll look at Zelensky here really quickly. Voldemort Zelensky, the bad comedian, as Trump put it. And yeah, he was an actor slash comedian slash interpretive dancer. We showed a video clip of that yesterday. It was pretty bad. I don't understand the Ukrainian, but I know bad comedy when I see it. The difference being that he's being hailed as a hero and a patriot because he's trying to make Ukraine a better place. He's trying to make Ukraine great again. That's cute. But when an American president, a sitting American president, tries to do the exact same thing, he's evil. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, you can't satisfy some people. That's what Raccoon had alluded to a little bit earlier there in the comments section. You cannot satisfy a lot of people, and you shouldn't try. That's really the trick. You can't make everybody happy, and you should not try to. Just do what you need to do. Do what you need to do, and that goes for all things. I'm not just talking about Trump. I'm talking about most people in real life. You got that one guy who doesn't get you or you can never make happy? Screw that guy. You just do what you need to do. MHC talking about Zelensky there said bad actor in both respects. Indeed. Bad actor in both respects. And I have a clip I might show later of Zelensky. I might show that later if I can do it without getting into too much trouble. But getting to the thumbnail here. We'll jump to a New York Post article. And this is what I was alluding to. It says, AG Pam Bondi says, truckload of evidence related to Epstein case has been delivered to FBI headquarters. Attorney General Pam Bondi revealed Monday that her office has received a truckload of evidence related to the Jeffrey Epstein case at FBI headquarters, all of which she promised to soon make public after she got okey-doked the last time around, which doesn't surprise me because the FBI has basically turned into like a private security company for politicians and wealthy celebrities, it seems. They're like the Pinkertons here, and a far cry from what they once represented in this country. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Armored is here. He said truckload of nothing burgers. It could be. It could be. We'll see how that works out. It says Bondi has given the FBI New York field office a February 28th deadline to turn over information about the late case. I don't want to read the word because of how ScrewTube is. She previously accused the office of withholding thousands of pages of documents related to Epstein ahead of the Justice Department's long-awaited release of his contact book and flight logs. So we got them all, hopefully all of them, by Friday at 8 a.m. The Attorney General told Fox News host Sean Hannity noting that there are thousands of pages of documents. Quote, I have the FBI going through them. Bondi said, adding the FBI Director Kash Patel is going to get us detailed reports as to why the documents had been withheld. Hopefully these aren't all redacted as well. I get it. It's another bread and circus here, but this is something a lot of people want to know, because they want to know if all of the politicians and celebrities and actors, musicians, whatever, that the media is always telling us to love and kiss their ass, how dirty are they? How dirty are they really? It'd be a huge wake-up call for a lot of people, unfortunately. A huge wake-up call. Sven, says the FBI sent a security group into SDNY. I wondered why. Comey's daughter works there and is angry. Everybody's always angry. JJ says the data's been in possession long enough that any special names have long since been removed. We may never get the whole story. Hey, I'm still waiting for the Kennedy files. I'm still waiting on that. Where are those? And they play games with that. They played games with it the last time. And it's long since past its date. Long past its date. It says the Attorney General insisted that she was shocked at the limited scope of the documents the Department of Justice had previously obtained from the FBI. Quote again, you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein's files. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? I don't know. Where is it? She explained that a source, notified the Department of Justice that all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York, which spurred her to order the new deadline for turning over documents. Bondi did not specify whether her source meant that the files were being stored by prosecutors at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District or at the FBI's New York field office, which are both housed in the same 26 Federal Plaza building in Lower Manhattan. The Attorney General signaled that it would be released as soon as victims' names were redacted. We're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims. A lot of victims. What's on the hat? Oh, she's got a Trump hat in her hand in that picture. I haven't seen a white one. Puck said, if there's no accountability, we are effectively finished as a nation of laws. Well, we haven't had accountability for a long time, Puck. Even when they're talking about going after the IRS now, and they're terminating IRS employees, all those extra employees that were hired under the Biden administration, they've been getting rid of them. They've been firing these people. And they want to get into the IRS records. And that's the first time, I've said it many times, since Reagan, that the IRS was challenged in anything that they've done. Most of these federal agencies, there hasn't been any accountability for decades. There's been no real watchdog groups. Maybe a couple of independent watchdog groups that point a figure and say, hey, look at this and that. Nobody really pays attention. Even when they got into USAID had an oversight. There was an oversight agency attached to USAID, which was revealed when USAID was knocked over, that had complained about a lot of that stuff that was going on with USAID and all the money they were throwing around. Why are we funding news agencies in 160 countries through USAID? Talk about misinformation networks or fake news, right? But they were ignored because they only answered to USAID, who basically told them, shut up. We haven't had accountability really in decades. Tuck said 80,000 plus new hires gone. Excellent. I don't know if they've gone through all of them yet. I heard it was around 20 so far. 20,000 of them. That's what Armored says. The blob is gigantic. It is. And Puck said, basically, we're arguing about the flower arrangements on the Titanic. You can make fun of the Titanic if you want, but I guarantee you one thing, the swimming pool is still full. Swimming pool on the Titanic is still full. But yeah, a lot of these agencies have been operating without oversight for decades. Nobody's really watching them. Nobody really knows what they're doing. Nobody really knows where the money's going. And that's why everybody's been fighting Doge so hard. Fighting them off. Trying to resist them. Because they don't want it exposed. They don't want the money train to stop. They're afraid of getting caught up. And you're going to find, excuse me, and I have a story about this also involving Louisiana here. We've talked about Louisiana a couple of times in the last few weeks because more and more corruption has been exposed in their public school system with people in the administrative aspect of the Louisiana public schools have been stealing millions. It's not just the federal government. It's not just the federal government. It's all of it. You're going to find it at the state level. You're going to find it at the local level. Look at Henyard. Tiffany Henyard again. Look at Tiffany Henyard again. I'll pull that up now since I mentioned it, Louisiana, and who has this Center Square article. Center Square article. I'll open this up because I mentioned it. More corruption in their local government, in their state government. Louisiana Treasury faces audit scrutiny over financial reporting failures. Because a lot of auditing is going on in Louisiana right now as the Louisiana state government's trying to get ahead of Doge, because eventually it's going to trickle down to the state level. And they're finding so many big, long-standing messes, it doesn't make sense. Getting into the article, a recent audit by the Louisiana Legislative Auditor has revealed significant lapses in the Louisiana Department of Treasury financial oversight. Wait till you hear these numbers. The audit, part of the 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, found that the Treasury Department lacked adequate controls to ensure investment information submitted to the Office of Statewide Reporting and Accounting Policy was accurate and complete. Auditors identified numerous errors, including, listen to this, a $6.5 billion, billion with a B, misclassification of investment maturity categories, $980 million in credit risk rating errors, and the omission of $3.2 billion in money market funds from key disclosures. Other issues included missing investment policy details and incomplete fair value measurement data for fiduciary funds or fiduciary. These mistakes, some deemed material, required significant adjustments to the state's financial statements. The report also highlighted a recurring problem, untimely bank reconciliations. For the second, excuse me, this is moving around a lot. losing my place. It makes me mispronounce things. All right, here we are. For the second consecutive year, the Treasury Department failed to complete these reconciliations promptly, with some regional accounts delayed by up to 121 days, and the statewide LA Gov system cash balance reconciliation lagging 163 days after the fiscal year end of June 30th, 2024. They're missing money or have misplaced or mispossessed money in the billions in state tax dollars. There's no excuse for that. And JJ wants to know, or says, any one of these mistakes carry a prison sentence, especially at those levels. You would think. Look at this. They found the three biggest accounts here. The misplacing of 6.5 billion, 980 million, and another $3.2 billion. That's, you've misplaced damn near $11 billion in the system. There's no excuse. Where is it? Is it still there? Can you get it back? That's your state tax dollars. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in one department. Where the hell does all this money go? Where the hell does all this money go? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. And like I said, it goes down, it trickles down to local levels at all. And I had mentioned Tiffany Henyard, and I do have something on her because she's in the news still. As you know, she lost by a landslide. She lost by 88% trying to run for mayor again. Fox News article, Feds subpoena Dalton, Illinois records tied to ousted super mayor Tiffany Henyard's boyfriend. She has a boyfriend? A federal subpoena has been issued requesting records from self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard and others as authorities pursue a criminal investigation tied to the ousted mayor. Finally, it's only taken, 2 years to get around to this? The subpoena was signed on February 25th, the day Henyard, a Democrat, lost the mayoral primary in Dalton, Illinois. By a landslide, as I pointed out again, her opponent got 88% of the vote. The subpoena is tied to a development project involving land once reportedly owned by Henyard's boyfriend. Oh, nepotism. Gotta love it. The summons demanded a number of documents from 2014 until now, including copies of citations, code violations, emails, phone calls, and text messages between property owners, tenants, and village personnel. It also requested correspondence between property owners, tenants, and Village of Dalton personnel. The personnel included Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods. The subpoena is the latest development in an ongoing federal probe into the activities of Henyard while she was serving as village mayor and township supervisor. We already know what she did. It's been exposed over and over and over again. That she was corrupt, that she was misappropriating funds, that she was being shady. We know this. Look what it's taken, and this is just a small town mayor. Look how long it's taken to get this far to where things are getting subpoenaed now. Look how long that's taken. Incredible. And I think, again, the only reason that the governor didn't go after her already is because he didn't want to be accused of being racist. He didn't want to be accused of being racist. And I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of her boyfriend. I've got the name here, but can I get a picture of the boyfriend? I'm looking for him here. Is this him? Because I wanted to show it, but I can't be sure if this is him or not. So I'll just leave it alone. I wanted to see if I could find out what he looked like. Raccoon said the screen isn't sharing. You having trouble seeing it? It's on the thing. I've got it. It says it's being shared on here. And David says he's got to run. Well, glad you could join us today. And Puck said gutless governor. I mean, that's what I'm assuming, because the governor has a position or the authority, if I'm not mistaken, to suspend a mayor and replace them with an interim mayor. For an investigation, or if there's something going on. Why hasn't that been done? All that's been going on, all the money that's missing, all the audits, all the fighting, something is obviously wrong. Why didn't you suspend this mayor pending an investigation? JD says that they can see the shared screen. JJ says, I think it was a week or two back that her and her boyfriend were fighting against a citizen during a public meeting. Yeah, I can't be sure if those images are really of him or not. So I didn't want to show it. Because it wasn't clear. It was not clear. Speaking of corruption, speaking of weak leadership, okay, I want to jump to a Hill article because, you know, the Democrats are already kicking around picks for running for president after Trump. You want to see who they've got on the chopping block? You want to take a guess? Can you see that picture? Who is that? Who knows who that is? Who knows who that is? Hill article. Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, says he'd consider running for president if asked. I've been seeing this getting kicked around all over the place. I've been seeing it all over the place in the last day or two. That Walz, and they have as his running mate some black woman. I can't remember what they said her name was. I can't remember what they said her name was, and they were like, "This could be your next Democratic running pair for the next election after Trump." I'm like, really, Mr. Shoot Myself in the Balls, Walz? JD says at least it's not Newsom. Yeah, Governor Nuisance. Well, I think everybody is about had it with Governor Newsom at this point. I don't think he could possibly run for anything again. I don't think he'll win. They were talking about the possibility that what's her name, Kamala Harris might run against him in the next California election. Things are so bad there, I bet you she could win. Let's put it that way. There you go. Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, Mr. Backwoodsman, Mr. Lumberjack, Mr. Big Time Game Hunter, Mr. Military Man who can't load a shotgun. I'll never get over that. Elmer Fudd could load his shotgun because they compared him to Elmer Fudd. I was like, no, Elmer Fudd could load that gun. Tim Walz doesn't know how to load the breech on a shotgun, apparently. All dressed in his camouflage, out in the woods, making an ass out of himself with the butt of the gun in his crotch. The butt of his gun, the gun in his crotch. I would have fell on the floor if he pulled that trigger. But there he is, Tim. It says Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential candidate from 2024, said he would consider running for president in 28. In an interview with the New Yorker, he quote from Tim, "Or never turn down a job you haven't been offered. He says I'm also, though not arrogant enough to believe there's a lot of people that can do this. I don't know what that means. I'll do whatever it takes. I certainly wouldn't be arrogant enough to think that it needs to be me. I don't think it would be you either. I don't think it works that way. I think it's a party. We just need to do a better job of connecting. Putting on a camouflage hat does not help you connect with conservatives, Tim. Yeah, please run this guy so that they can lose again. And Cyberjack has joined us, Cyberjack Sr. Tuck says he'll send Tim $5. There you go. There you go. Incredible. Incredible. The guy's an embarrassment. Plus, he has really close ties to China that are very questionable. And he's got investigations going all over the place in Minnesota for misappropriation of funds, stolen, especially C virus money from the pandemic. Hundreds of millions of dollars missing all over the place in different areas. And then there's that whole fiasco they swept under the rug where Captain Tampon here had third party slipped money from the Department of Education union when he was still union president to another state to help fund that state's gubernatorial campaign, which is illegal. And they're still investigating that. You can't trust this guy. You can't trust this guy. I like that he's got a brown tie, though. It matches his nose. Tampon Tim. The CCP is very proud of that man. Very proud. They hosted his honeymoon. He honeymooned in China, remember? And Tuck looks forward to voting against him. Yeah, I know. Nobody wants this guy. Yeah, he'll run for president, but it's not just him saying that. That's been getting kicked around for a couple of days, and I can't remember who the other person was. I can't remember who the other person was. But there you go. Frankie suggests you can't trust any Democrat. Now I'm going to try to do this here. Let me see if I can do this without getting into trouble. The actual conversation that took place between Zelensky and Trump. The real deal conversation that actually took place between Zelensky and Trump. What was really said in the Oval Office that you did not hear, because it was edited later. I have to be very careful here. I'm just warning you. I have to be very careful. So let me know if this audio is good. And just listen very carefully to what Zelensky has to say.
That was yours. We thought that baggie belonged to Hunter. You know, I think the Secret Service probably still has it somewhere.
I have been stealing the money.
I'm sorry, what's that now?
I must to speak honestly. I steal many of USA dollars to Ukraine. Millions. Some dollars for some oligarchs also. Some for American bureaucrats also.
Well,
the actual footage. This is called the reading between the lines footage as we continue.
we know that, but why are you telling me this?
Because, Mr. Trump, if you end war, we cannot steal any more money. We must continue war.
No, the war must end. Your people are dying, Zelensky. They're dying.
But I want to steal more money. What do you want?
Oh, JD said finally an honest, finally an honest. Okay, I can't say that. I can't say that. And Monkey says better make sure you say this is for a joke or YouTube will stop your stream. we will imply that this did not necessarily happen. Let's just put it that way. We Let me fix that here.
What do you want? Fellatio? I can do it.
No, I don't want fellatio. No.
Are you sure? I did for Biden.
Okay, that is what we call oversharing. Look, there's nothing you have that I want. You're not going to convince me to keep this war going. You don't have the cards.
He did it for Biden. Come on, Trump. Come on, Trump. Don't be such a jerk.
I not play cards.
No, I know you're not literally playing cards. It's a metaphor. It's like I'm playing 4D chess and you're playing checkers.
No, I not play checkers. There is no checkerboard, you see.
Okay, let's try this. I am in the driver's seat, okay? Do you understand that expression?
No, but we are not in car.
No, you're right. You're right. We're not in a car.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. There, Tuck says it. He says, for entertainment purposes only. There you go. For entertainment purposes only. I ought to try to share this on the channel so everybody can see it. This is really well done. This is really well done. And Sven says, Gavin Newsom said they will hire the fired federal workers. Yeah, because God knows they can afford it. There you go. All the federal DEI hire workers, please go to California. It says that state is supremely screwed, and Z-Man was a prostitute. That I don't know about. I know he was a really bad interpretive dancer and comedian.
That's true.
Listen, Mr. Trump, I am actor/comedian. I crave attention. Since start of war, I get worshipped by presidents. I'm worshipped by Hollywood. If war ends, no more attention, no more worship. With all due respect, Mr. Trump, this war must last forever.
There you go. There you go. I couldn't resist doing this. Hopefully, I don't get screwed over by ScrewTube for sharing this with everybody. But this is so well done.
I tell you what, if you agree to end this war, we will do a remake of Friends, and you can play Ukrainian Chandler Bing. How does that sound?
Oh, I love the Friends. This is favorite show of me. I am such a Monica.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's sign the thing, and then I'll go show you the room where Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky did it.
Oh, yes, this is funny because I just say I'm such a Monica. Maybe we will go in a room and you can be Bill Clinton and I will be Monica. Yes?
You know what? Forget the room. Let's just sign the document. Does anyone have a pen? Phil? Where's Phil?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. I'm gonna try to see if I can. It's a private link. I don't know if I can post it here, but I'm gonna try to put it on the. I'll see if I can put it up on the channel because that is priceless. That is priceless. And Brian thinks I'm going to get in trouble with ScrewTube. Well, we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can let me slide this one time. Some of the stuff that other channels get away with shocks the hell out of me. Some of the stuff that they get away with just shocks the hell out of me. And then if I do something minor, I get my teeth kicked in by ScrewTube every time. It's just not right. It's just not right. I'll tell you what. Watch any episode of what is it, Young Turks? They're horrible. They are horrible. But enough with the sidetracking. We'll get back to actual news. Law and Crime has this article talking about everyone else's favorite failure, Fani Willis, excuse me. It says it's kind of suspicious that you have no documents, and that's a quote. Fani Willis ordered to turn over a tranche of files after repeatedly violating open records laws over January 6 committee communications. There she is. It says Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Let me see if I can stabilize that. must turn over a tranche of documents for a judge inspection in a public records case where her office was found to have repeatedly violated open records law. So she is still refusing to turn over her records. As Law and Crime previously reported, those violations occurred when the prosecutor's office, in response to open records request, denied having any documents showing any communications with special counsel Jack Smith or members of the since defunct House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Incredible. Now, after falsely claiming any such records exist for months, and after being assessed a fine of $21,578 in attorney's fees and costs, Willis and her office admit there are such documents. The DA is continuing to withhold those documents from the nonprofit on the basis that they are exempt pursuant to a section of Georgia law, which has already been overturned. It says, following the default judgment, Judith Walsh asked for a special master to scour the agency's files for the documents or for the court to conduct an in-camera inspection of the documents. Willis, in turn, fiercely opposed a special master as incredibly intrusive. Still denying it. Still refusing. Frankie wants to know if I'm screen sharing. It should be. It should be. Let me reset it. Let me reset it. See if that works right. Because on my end, I can see it. On my end, the screen, it shows me that it's in the pocket the right way. Let's try that. JJ says, if YouTube will allow Megan Thee Stallion videos, I don't see where this would be a problem. No kidding. And Sven says, do we have a Rumble channel for Coffee Talk? Yes, but it's on StreamYard. I cannot. And it's, I'll put it on here for you. That's the moniker on Rumble, Coffee Talk with the number 2. But streaming, I can't stream to Rumble from StreamYard. So I can't, I was able to do it from Restream, but I can't do it from StreamYard. So I got better audio and video with StreamYard, but lost the ability to go to Rumble when I was using Restream. So that's the toss-up. And like I said, half a dozen of one and 6 of the other between StreamYard and Rumble. Each of them has something that works better, and each of them has something that sucks, basically. So all this time, and now she's up over 21,000 in fines, Bonnie is still refusing to release any of her documents to judges, probably because she'll lose her job. Because she's, I'm pretty positive, corrupt. Positive that she's corrupt. Okay. I mean, she's already admittedly an adulteress, admittedly demonstrated nepotism by hiring her boyfriend, paid him a fortune in tax dollars to do basically nothing in a job that he was not qualified for, which he was ordered, or she was ordered, to dismiss this so-called boyfriend, and humiliated him in court by making fun of his sexual prowess in open court on camera. I'm sure a lot of you remember that. So, and then has the nerve to make the circuit of Atlanta mega black churches and receive praise and go on about how she's doing God's work. There's a lot of corruption here. There's a lot of corruption here. And I bet she's afraid to demonstrate those files. I'm sure she is. Come here, buddy. Oh, no, I guess not. Daniel doesn't want to come in the room. Daniel walked by. I bet there's a lot of corruption. I bet she would lose her job. I bet she'd be under investigation. For sure. And Fluke Man is late, but he's here. Glad you could make it. Says, mother having trouble figuring out a modern washing machine. Well, I'm sure you'll help her figure it out. I'm sure you'll help her figure it out. And this is something I wanted to mention. So we talked about some gossip type stuff yesterday. I wanted to throw this out there really quick. Hopefully this screen shares without a problem. I don't watch the Oscars. I don't care about the Oscars. I didn't even go to the movies last year. I don't want to like modern films. I think they're all pretty bad. Badly done. Not interesting. But this caught my attention, okay? And it's a Harper's Bazaar article. It says, Mikey Madison wins Best Actress at the 25 Oscars, okay? And this is for a film called Honora, okay? Honora, there she is, won 4 Oscars. I don't know this movie, but I have read the synopsis on this film, and I have heard from some people who have seen this movie. And it was described as essentially an X-rated film with no plot. It's just nonstop sex. That it's some hooker or stripper / prostitute who gets hired for a long-term situation for sexual purposes, and that you watch at least a half a dozen full-on, all-in sex scenes before even a half hour has passed in this film. That it's essentially like XXX soft porn that you would have seen in like maybe the 90s, and with no story and no plot. 4 Oscars. And this makes me think of Idiocracy. Many of you may have seen that film, where the guy goes to the movies and he said it's a 6-hour film called Ass, showing a person's butt, and that's all it was. And it won Oscar for Best Picture. I mean, hell, Godfather only got like 3 Oscars, didn't it? This is what passes nowadays. It shouldn't surprise me, because last time around, was it last year or the year before, the movie, God, what was it? What was that movie? Like Water or something. I can't remember the name of it. Whatever the hell that was with the guy. They had like a creature from the Black Lagoon, and the woman had sex with it, and it won an Oscar. Completely forgotten film already because it wasn't good. Nobody really liked that film, but they gave it an Oscar anyways. And Marvel fan is here, says they're late. And Puck said Critical Drinker said it was meh. Oh, Critical. I know who Critical Drinker is. He watched this. He watches a lot of bad films, but most of them are bad nowadays. Do they make good movies anymore? If there was one, would you even find it? For all intents and purposes, it sounds like trash. Sounds like trash. And MHC says, remember Pia Sedora? I know who that was. Pia Sedora. And ARN said Angel Studios have great movies. But this is what passes nowadays. And I'm like, 4 Academy Awards for a plotless soft porn. What a world. What a world. Absolutely incredible. And I'll share one more thing with you here. And of course, that is the US debt clock. US debt clock, which has Doge projected savings currently at almost $163 billion. 162, it says 162,738,000,000 and counting, which is a good deal. Good deal. I'm glad to see that. It's not a lot by comparison to our debt, but you've got to start somewhere. It had to be done. People can be pissed off about it if they want to. But it had to be done. You got to start somewhere. Again, one of the big complaints right now is, oh, that's just a drop in the bucket. Well, you just want the bucket to just remain empty. You got to start somewhere. But with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. So thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will see you again tomorrow.